Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of January 29th, 2024. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a short moment of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The order of business of the Lincoln City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item may do so after they register and sign in at the table located in the lobby. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify himself or herself, including an address and name of any organization represented by such person, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. Anyone wishing to speak on an item on the agenda should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization, and whether you are speaking in favor of or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Monday of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date, nor planned for a future agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please start us off?
Also, as a reminder for public testimony, we do have, and the clerks will use the monitor systems here at the podium. There's 2 monitors on both sides. Both podiums are available for testimony. Everyone is allowed 5 minutes for testimony. When you start your testimony, the green light will indicate for your time to go. Once the yellow light shows, it shows that you'll have 1 minute remaining, and then it will turn red when your 5 minutes are up. First item on our agenda is our consent agenda, sections 1, sections 2, and sections 3.
Is there anyone here to speak on consent agenda items 1, 2, or 3? Randy, welcome.
Good evening, council people. My name is Randy Jones. I'm Director of Aging Partners. I'm here to ask for your approval of the appointment of Denise Alkali for the Aging Services Area-Wide Council. We've had difficulty scheduling Denise because of her illness, but I promise with your approval, I'll bring her to a director's meeting, introduce her to you. She was raised in Lincoln and recently returned from Colorado. Her career is in Department of Homeland Security and has worked with Lincoln Public Schools and Department of Corrections. She holds a master's degree in business administration and human resources and is a grandmother of 6. That's a key indicator for aging. And she's also served our country well under the U.S. Army. So we ask for your approval of her appointment, please.
Very good. Thank you, Randy. Any questions at all for Randy before we let him go? Okay. See none. Thank you. We appreciate it. Director Carey.
Good afternoon, David Carey, Director of the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. Here on behalf of Cindy Ryman-Yost, who was unable to join us this evening. She is being nominated for the appointment of being on the Board of Zoning Appeals, a very important position. Just a little background, our bylaws for the BZA do require at least 1 planning commissioner serve in that role on the BZA. She has agreed to do that. She is our current chair of the Planning Commission and brings 5 years of experience now of being on the Planning Commission, which is important for the BZA position because there can be some complexities to some of those that come forward for those agendas. So I am very happy to put forward Cindy's name for that position, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions about Ryman-Yost's appointment at this point in time? Okay, very good. Let's move on to your next.
Thank you. I'm also very pleased to present to you Brett Ebert as our nominee for the open position on the Planning Commission. She is a practicing attorney and will be replacing Tracy Edgerton, who retired from the Planning Commission after 7 years of service. Very excited to have Brett as part of our team. I will say that she is kind of the motto of what we like to see. She came from from out of town to come to school here and stayed here and is building a family and a career here. So we're very happy for that, and I'll hand it over to Brett now.
Thank you. Brett Ebert, 5733 South 34th Street. Thank you, members of the City Council, for your time this evening. I'm honored to be nominated for appointment to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission, and I look forward to contributing to our great city and county in this manner. I developed an interest in community and regional planning actually during my time in law school, and I even took a graduate level course on the subject. So it feels full circle to be here tonight to be considered for the appointment. Service on this commission will merge my curious interest in the substantive work of community planning and my personal philosophy of service to my community. My professional background is as an estate planning attorney, and I am a partner in a 4-person law firm, so I'm also a small business owner. So I believe this perspective will serve me well as a member of the Planning Commission. So thank you for your consideration.
Very good. Thank you so much for coming up. We surely appreciate it. And let me start off by saying thank you for your willingness to give your time to the City of Lincoln and to join city leadership in this capacity. We really appreciate the folks that serve on the Planning Commission. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of work, but we sincerely appreciate that feedback that you give to us when making land use decisions. So thank you, first of all, for that. Councilors, do we have questions for Brett at all? Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Weber.
Yep. No, thank you, Chair Beckius. I have no questions for Ms. Eber. I just wanted to say, as a fellow resident of Northwest Lincoln, how excited I am to have someone so exceptionally qualified for this position, willing to serve. And I look forward to supporting your appointment. So thank you for your willingness to serve Lincoln and Lancaster County.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts?
Big yay.
A big yay. That's great. That's great. I think you have some guests today. Do you want to make any introductions at all?
I do, sure.
Yeah.
I would introduce my husband, Nick, and my daughter, Ellie. And then my parents, Bruce and Pat Lamb, are also here.
Oh, very
And my
good.
law partner, Andrew Loudon.
Perfect. Well, once again, thank you so much for your time and your willingness to serve. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on anything on the consent agenda? Those are items 1, 2, or 3 on today's agenda. Anyone else here who would like to speak on those items? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk.
We can now vote on these items. Item 1A is appointing Denise Alkali to the Aging Partners Area-Wide Advisory Council for a term to expire June 30th, 2025, introduced by Bowers.
So moved.
Second, Carlson, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1B is appointing Cindy Ryman Yost to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term to expire February 1st of 2026, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Weber, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1C is appointing Brett Ebert to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission for a term to expire August 24th, 2027, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Weber, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Carlson,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
That concludes our consent agenda. We shall now move on to Section 4, a public hearing and liquor resolutions. I'll call item 4A, manager application of Thomas R. McKitterick for Lincoln Country Club, doing business as Country Club of Lincoln, located at 3200 South 24th Street.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Thomas McKitterick, 3200 South 24th Street, General Manager and CEO of the Country Club of Lincoln.
Very good, Thomas. Thanks for coming down. We appreciate
You
it.
bet.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the manager application that we have in front of us here today?
Well, I've been doing this a long time, and I have not completed the new class. I've completed it many times in the past, yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Hoping for I think it's February 8th is the date that I will take that class.
Plenty of room over here.
All right, very
But
good.
any other questions, I'm happy to try and answer.
Let's see if we have any. Counselors, any questions? Okay, we don't see any. Thank you so much. for
Thank you
coming
so
down.
much.
We appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? Anyone else who would like to speak on this application? Okay, see none, let's move on.
Item 4B is application of Kincaid Brewing Company LLC doing business as Beer House Bachelor for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 235 feet by 125 feet at 151 North 8th Street on February 24th, 2024, from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m.
I don't think we have, no, Jeremy, okay. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item? Anyone who would like to speak on 4B? All right, seeing none, let's move on.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
seeing
sir.
no one else coming forward, I'd like to make a motion that we approve items 4A and 4B.
Second.
Second, Washington, discussion. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Washington,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. That concludes section 4 of our agenda. We shall move on to section 5, our public hearing resolutions. Item 5A is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for January 1st through January 15th, 2024.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak on item 5A? New and pending claims against the city of Lincoln. Anyone here to speak on item 5A? New and pending claims against the city of Lincoln. All right, see none, let's move on to the next.
I'll be calling item 5B, approving agreement to terminate interlocal corporation agreement between the city of Lincoln on behalf of Lincoln Electric System, LES, and the Board of Regents to terminate the Nebraska Utility Corporation.
Mr. Connolly, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Chris Connolly, City Law Department, 555 South 10th Street. NU Corporation, or New Corp, was formed in 2001 as a mechanism to provide construction of a DEC plant for the university, and the city provided funding mechanism for that. The construction costs have all been paid for now, and so the need for NU Corp as an entity no longer exists. And so we are bringing this forward to you at this time on behalf of LES, really as the operator of the DEC system, to terminate this agreement. The idea would be, if the council will approve tonight, it will then go to the Board of Regents at their meeting, which is on February 9th. And so it's not a complicated arrangement. I'll be happy to try and answer whatever questions anyone may have, though, and ask for your approval.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Chris? Chris, my understanding is that all the assets of New Corp will then be turned over to the University of Nebraska, is that correct?
Correct. They will maintain the plant. They've paid for everything.
Sure.
And so that's correct. And in the event that any remaining bills were ever to come up for any reason at all, the university will be responsible for paying for those.
And once again, just to reiterate, the city of Lincoln provided the funding mechanism for this, for New Corp, and as was previously is now will continue to be no liability to the city going forward.
That's correct.
Very good.
That's the good part.
Yeah. Any other questions for Chris? Okay, see none. Thank you for coming down.
Thank
We appreciate it. Hello.
Hello there. Jason Fortick, 9445 Rokeby Road. I'm the Vice President of Power Supply for Lincoln Electric System, and I also serve as an NU Corp board member. And so I would also like to testify in support of the action to terminate the interlocal agreement. Mr. Connolly covered most of the pertinent points. Since I was involved in a lot of those projects, I thought I'd make myself available if there are any questions or comments or clarifications, but I think his testimony covered, like I said, all of the pertinent issues. It was an honor to serve on the New Corp board. It's a little bit of a bittersweet thing to see it now winding down, but we got a lot of really good energy projects accomplished with the university. Made a lot of good friendships over the years. Happy to see now that they're able to, kind of take the reins and lead a lot of those projects within their operations.
Very good. Well, thank you for making yourself available for our questions. We appreciate
Certainly.
that. Counselors, any questions? All right, off the hook.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on item 5B? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to item 5C.
Item 5C is miscellaneous 23010, application of Urban Development Director to declare the College View Blight area, generally located at South 48th Street in Prescott, as blighted and substandard, as well as extremely blighted to those, as those terms are defined in the Nebraska Community Development Law. The study area is approximately 73 acres, generally located between South 46th Street on the west, Hillside Street on the north, South 49th Street on the east, and Linden Street on the south, located in sections 5, 9, 7, and 897, Lincoln, Lancaster County, Nebraska.
Director Hein, welcome.
Good evening. Peter Hein, Director of Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. We're here this evening to correct an error. Originally, this was supposed to be extremely blighted when we first submitted it, and realized that we had left that off. The data and research supported that designation, and so we felt that it was right to bring it through so that we could get it and correct it. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Director Hein?
Just
Yes,
for the
Councilwoman.
record, I would let it be known that I did ask questions of urban development over the weekend. I had asked to jive the data on poverty, extreme blight, against the Place Matters poverty numbers, because I thought that I wasn't understanding clearly the differences. But I got a full and complete answer on that. And I also wanted to know, because we know this is, College View is in the vicinity of Union College, and I wanted to make certain that we weren't over-emphasizing unemployed students in the area. And I am satisfied that we are working in an area that fully meets extreme blight, and that we haven't overcounted or overemphasized any group.
Yeah, it was a good question. Thank you.
Any other questions? And I think it's important to note that the extreme blight designation then also opens up the opportunity for a longer TIF period for redevelopment projects, which
Yes.
Certainly aids those projects as well. So it's important to make sure that designation is correct, because
Yes.
it adds a lot of dollars to redevelopment.
Absolutely.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
it also allows residents who have purchased a home to have a $5,000 tax credit in the area
Yes.
as well,
Yeah.
which is a big incentive.
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Director.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this item? Anyone else here to speak on item 5C? All right. Seeing none, let's go ahead and move on, Madam Clerk.
We can vote on these items. Item 5A is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for January 1st through January 15th, 2024, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second, Carlson, discussion. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5B is approving agreement to terminate interlocal corporation agreement between the City of Lincoln on behalf of Lincoln Electric System and the Board of Regents to terminate the Nebraska Utility Corporation, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second, Carlson, discussion. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5C is miscellaneous 23010, application of Urban Development Director to declare the College View Blight area generally located at South 48th Street in Prescott as blighted and substandard, as well as extremely blighted as those terms are defined in the Nebraska Community Development Law. The study area is approximately 73 acres, generally located between South 46th Street on the west, Hillside Street on the north, South 49th Street on the east, and Linden Street on the south, located in sections 5, 9, 7, and 897, Lincoln, Lancaster County, Nebraska, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second, Carlson, discussion. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, that
Madam
can,
Clerk, I'll go ahead and excuse myself for section 6.
sure.
All right. We can proceed.
Section 6 is public hearing resolutions action only. I'll read item 6A, Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23019, application of the Urban Development Department to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan and to adopt the Northwest 48th and West Vine redevelopment plan, including the Falcon Corner redevelopment project for the construction of a large retail building and associated commercial uses on property generally located at Northwest 48th Street and Interstate 80, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have been asked by the applicant to move this item to pending no date certain. And our council rules allow for us to also attach other related pieces of legislation, which we have in this list. So I'd like to ask that someone offer a motion combining all the related pieces to pending no date certain.
I'll make that motion. Like to move item 6A, 7F, G, 7H, 8A, 8B, 8C, and 8D to pending no date certain.
Thank you.
Get them all.
Second the motion.
Thank you. And having asked for that, I should probably clarify with our city attorney that we have not stepped in a hole that we didn't
I
see.
would like that, yeah.
Thank you. Johansi Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10th. I do not believe you have stepped in a hole, and I understand there's a motion, a second, and the vote is pending, but Rule 3.31 allows the council to do what it just did. Bills on the agenda shall be in order, even though such related bills are not then part of the motion on the floor, and that other related items may also, let me just quote it directly. A motion to place on pending that bill and other related bills on the agenda shall be in order, even though such related bills are not then part of the motion on the floor. So.
Thank you. All right. Is there any discussion? All right. Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk?
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right. Thank you very much. And would you please ask our chair to come back?
Madam Clerk, 7A and B?
Yes. We'll move on to section 7, public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. Items 7A and 7B will be called together. 7A is change of zone 23073, application of Southminster Church to change the zone from R4 residential district to R4 residential district with landmark overlay on property generally located at 2915 South 16th Street. And the related appeal by Jerby Smith, a planning commission approval of special permit 23046 to allow for residential and office uses for the Southminster Church on property generally located at 2915 South 16th Street.
Is there anyone here to speak on items 7A or 7B? Anyone here to speak on items 7A, 7B? Anything you want to say? Okay. Yes, please, come on down.
Good evening. My name is Roy Helm. I identify with the pronouns of he and him. I live at 2750 South 13th Street, which is on Oto, Missouri land. I live near this location, and I do certainly appreciate that this building will be saved, this church. It is a landmark in the neighborhood. My only concern, it does have to do with parking. And I'm sure that when that church was much more vibrant and lively, that on certain occasions parking could be an issue during the services. But I'm hopeful that those who take over this project will be sensitive to the neighborship and the neighborhood and the neighbors, and try to work with them. My only regret is that I didn't see anything that led me to feel that the business group will also be using that themselves as a residence. But I think this is a good move. I also hope that the little library will be left and maintained that sits there on the corner. But I certainly appreciate this and hope you will support this action.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on items 7A or 7B? Dan, welcome.
Hello, Council. Daniel Seedoff, 1844 Kings Highway. Myself and John Badami are the applicants for this special designation. Is our intent to put our architectural office, a small architectural office of 2 people, to office out of that space. I live in the neighborhood, or down the street in the Woodshire neighborhood, so I walked over there today for a quick meeting. It's a really fantastic space. I can address the neighborhood library on the corner. We absolutely intend to keep it. We love the building. We are seeking the designation so that we can change zoning, but also preserve a great piece of architecture in our community.
Very good. Dan, before you go, I'm just going to
Yeah.
ask my peers if they have any questions
Yes,
for
please.
you as the developer or the redeveloper of the site. Any questions for Dan? Councilwoman?
Parking,
Or yes?
can you talk about that? Do you anticipate having larger events or
No,
the need for additional parking?
There are 4 apartments that we're looking to put into the facility. So there's not a lot of parking requirement for that need. The space is about 2,000 square feet of usable office space, so we max out at about 8 employees to 10 employees operating out of that space if it were ever to get to that point. Right now, we're just 2 people coming and going from there. It's a pretty quiet business operation, so we don't hold large events or otherwise. The waiver to ask to negate the parking change or to not put in parking is that it's a historical character of that neighborhood in that corner. There's a lot of edge parking on that corner for vehicles to stay there. We have a couple of other neighbors here directly across the street that have spoken to us regularly about the parking condition, and we're willing to look for options and work with the neighbors as best we can to make sure that doesn't become a problem.
Any other questions? Councilwoman?
I would just ask a question that Roy Helm asked. Mr. Helm came, and he'd asked about the little library, and he'd also asked about whether or not the business would also be taking up residents. Like, would this also be a domicile, not just a?
Yeah, we do not plan to live in the facility ourselves. No, they'll be market rate apartments.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Dan? Okay, seeing none. Thanks for coming forward, Dan. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak on items 7A and 7B? Hello, welcome. If you could just please start off with your name and address.
Yes, my name is Ann Finkner, and I live at 2939 South 16th, so I am directly south of the church. And I support this change in the zoning and the landmark designation. This church is in need of some attention as far as a physical structure, but I think also having the activity in the neighborhood will revitalize that area. Parking, I do think that the new owners will understand that and monitor that. So I think the relationship that is being developed with the new owners is important. And I would ask for your support and approval to move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming down. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on items 7A or 7B? Okay, see none. Madam Clerk, let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry.
But all right, I'd like to hear from our staff. Mr. Carey, if you want to present.
Director Carey, please. Stephanie.
Good evening, David Carey, Director of the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. I have Stephanie Rouse, our Historic Preservation Planner, with me this evening as well. Really just here to answer any questions you might have, and would like Stephanie to just kind of explain the history of the parking situation on this site.
Okay. Steph.
Specifically speaking of parking, so the church was built back in the 1962 without parking on the site. It's always been street parking for the church uses. At one point, the church did reach a congregation of 450 members, which is a lot of vehicles coming in and out for Sunday services and weekly programs. So the intensity of the uses as proposed is quite a bit lower. The required parking would be 11 stalls on Odo and 16th Street. There's about 10 on-street parking stalls immediately adjacent to this site. And we looked at adding parking on the site, which would really negate the setting of the church and conflict with the historic designation. Adding parking in front of the church that's always kind of set up off the street with kind of a primary location. So happy to answer any questions.
Councilman, any questions at all?
I just wanted to hear another stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. Any other questions for staff? All right, see none. Thank you both.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. Anyone else here who would like to speak on items 7A and 7B? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, let's move on.
I'll call items 7C, D, and E together. Item 7C is approving the 23rd Street Net Zero Live Work Redevelopment Project Agreement between the City, 23 NZLW LLC, and QJ Rentals LLC relating to the redevelopment of property generally located at 335 North 23rd Street, and amending the fiscal year 23-24 CIP to authorize and appropriate $502,810 and tax increment financing for the 23rd Street Net Zero Live Work Redevelopment Project, and authorizing the issuance of tax allocation bonds for the 23rd Street for Net Zero Live Work Redevelopment Project in the amount not to exceed $502,810.
Director, welcome.
Peter Hine, Director of Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. This is an exciting project for Lincoln. Very, very exciting. Mixed use, energy efficient, and infill. Really a wonderful project for 23rd and N. I'm going to put up the project. The trifecta, there you go. I'll put up the project map. We do have the developer here to talk about and present the project, so I'm going to try and go through some of the agreement high points, if you will, and then answer any questions and then turn it over to Ben. As you know, it was reviewed by the Urban Design Committee and received approval from them. The project has 6 small micro units that I'm sure Ben will get into the uses of those for commercial, and then on top has 9 units that are supported by DED. And those residential units have all of their parking on site. Trash has been accounting for. The parking is sort of tucked behind the corner. It's a $3.3 million project, generating just over $500,000 of TIF. And it is net zero ready. And I just want to put up, sorry, I didn't point out on this map, 23rd Street and R Street. And then this is the site for the project here. You can see this is sort of the last infill, if you will, for projects on this site. So fitting with scale for the entire block. And then I know in your packet you have this, but I thought I would just put up, I know I can zoom, the TIF uses and how we've, excuse me, prioritized these for site acquisition, site preparation. They did have to do some demolition that was done before the first of the year. Solar energy enhancements. So we worked with the developer. We've given them a little bit of leeway to put some solar on each unit or do it on the house panel. So projects like this would have a house panel that would run lights, emergency lighting, and those kinds of things. So the solar could be sort of directed onto that. And then the energy enhancements, and I'm going to let the developer talk about those for this project. But I think having this funding go to a project that is reducing its energy load on our grid, I think is extremely important. And it's doing it in smart ways. It's doing it with active technology, but it's also doing it by having a better envelope. So better windows, higher insulation on the walls. So doing that, it's lowering its demand by good design. And that is just, if every project could do that, it's setting a really great standard. As I said, it's net zero ready, so it's not net zero. They're not coming to us and saying they've proven that, but the project is set up to expand its solar capability in the future. So it can, as it's sort of proving itself, it can continue to sort of proof in the pudding, if you will. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them right now.
Any questions for Director Hein at this point? Yes, Councilwoman, please.
Director Hein, thank you for bringing this project forward. When you talk about net zero ready and the solar panels, and I look forward to hearing what the developer has to say about the size and how they're situated. But we've got a few rules around solar panel placement and how that fits. Have there been any concern from neighbors about the future solar panels on the building?
I'll let the developer answer that, but as I understand it, the solar panels will be on a south-facing sloped roof on the second floor, so they're going to be extremely high, and you'd have to be pretty high to see them. So from the street, you're not going to be able to see them. If I'm wrong, correct me. Maybe.
Might see them a little.
Might see them a little. From a distance, perhaps. I don't think seeing solar panels is a bad thing, because it's showing that the building is actually making its own energy.
Yes, Mr. Duden, Councilman.
In one of the photos of the structure itself, it kind of looks like the roof slopes down from south to north. Would that be correct?
The other way.
The other way?
Sloping from north to south, yeah.
North to south, okay. So what would be the street in front of the north side?
Ben, how about we invite Ben to come up? I'll stay here, so if I can answer any questions.
Mr. Coons, if you want to grab that microphone there.
I was trying to get my bearings here.
Ben, if you want to introduce yourself and give your address.
Ben Kuntz, 2539 Rathbone Road. Just skipping ahead to address your question first.
Yeah, that's the picture.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here, we're standing at the intersection of 23rd and R Street, looking to the southwest. And so along that north side is the tallest facade of the building. And the roof would then slope downward from there towards the south.
Towards the south, okay.
And it sets up a large
area
space
for solar
for
panels, yeah.
solar array, yeah.
Yep.
I can go through a few things. I know you guys saw this in the fall, so I don't want to waste your time.
We've seen it before, Ben, yeah.
Yes,
Councilman,
I remember it now, yeah.
Councilman Duden, did you want to ask Ben any more specific questions before we
No,
let him
I just
get
wanted to
into-
get oriented as to
Okay.
which was the south side, north side, that sort of thing.
Okay, very good. Ben, why don't we go ahead and have you go through on a high level the project again?
So just really quickly, the redevelopers behind this project are a combination of Atomic Building Laboratory, my company, and Hoppy Development. We feel this partnership really strengthens the project. I'm excited to start executing. Long and short of this, it's innovative mixed-use affordable housing concept which combines micro restaurants, delivers 9 apartment units, 6 commercial bays, and features forward-thinking, missing middle and net zero ready design. It's downtown adjacent. It's 1 block from Antelope Valley Park System and the bike trail there. Excited for kind of co-location opportunities with that. But it's at 23rd and R Street on the southwest corner. Here's just a quick view of the neighborhood to give some context. A lot of missing middle scale apartments existing and currently building. Kind of a range of things in the neighborhood, but set on a commercial corner with a gas station across the street to the east and a bakery to the northwest, as well as an auto shop across the street. So just some more details on the net zero and the apartment units. There's a range of sizes. There's studios, 1s, 2s, and 3s. Some of those occurring in a loft configuration. And it's targeting 65% area median income, which is tied to the ARPA grants. And then it's using this Zero Energy Ready Home standard, which is a published standard by the U.S. Department of Energy, as well as integrating some day one solar and prepared to integrate more day two solar. It also, as a part of that, is able to start to take advantage of a few small sustainability tax credits, some LES partnerships. But really the intent is that it would both explore as far as some lessons learned, but also demonstrate how to implement energy efficiency in multifamily projects in the area. This is happening a lot on the coast, but it's almost not happening at all here. So it's just kind of trying to localize that prototype. And more on the commercial bays, there's 6 of them in this case, and they all target new and emerging food businesses. As a successful model is imported from Portland, but the businesses that we were just talking to are largely food trucks and pop-ups and other mobile vendors who are sharing commercial kitchen space now and need a space of their own. And so this is kind of the stepping stone for them that kind of fills a gap between what is traditionally an entry-level space. So the benefits to tenants is less space to build out as far as cost and less cost in rent per month. And then this specific project also provides shared restrooms, shared outdoor seating, and some other collective opportunities that, benefiting from having 6 in one place. And just to demonstrate the popularity, we haven't even broken ground yet, obviously, because we're here. But we already have 4 of 6 bays under LOI and discussions on the last 2. So it's clearly been demonstrated as a need. It's something we need here. So, and just real quick to the design, part of the intent here is that each business would have their own storefront face, provides them a kind of their own distinct brand, but also being collective here, having that shared outdoor seating, which you can see a kind of early design of here. And then as we talked about the roof, as far as solar, but the exciting part is the stuff you can't see. The walls are going to be really thick and highly insulated, highly airtight, and we can go into details on that, but I'll spare you. And then this is that site plan, shared seating along 23rd Street, some private patio spaces along R Street that are more set back. There's some shared central restrooms and parking tucked into the backside. This project has been a long time coming. Been working on this for over 2.5 years already. And as we've worked on that, we've discovered more and more unique innovation risk with this project, and very happy to report the level of community support we've received for this. Over a year ago, we had a neighborhood meeting, and the neighbors expressed excitement to support the local businesses, supportive of the project in total, and very excited about the energy efficiency. The City of Lincoln in mass has provided a lot of support. Pending your decision next week, tax increment financing, as well as community development resources, providing subordinated debt, as well as partnerships and incentives with LES. And then additionally, the state and federal ARPA grants. It's in an opportunity zone, which is helpful. And then a small piece of this is efficiency and energy tax credits.
Ben, let me see if my peers have any questions for you. Any questions for Ben?
No question, but a comment. This is really exciting. Maybe I'll just drastically downsize, just move into a studio. Sounds great.
Ben, it is really exciting. I do have one question for you. The 6 commercial bays, will they each have a hood?
As it stands now, it looks like half or maybe slightly less than half will have hoods, based on the tenants we're talking to now.
Sure. Okay.
But that's something that can change over time too.
Right. Because as you know, hoods are oftentimes, a lot of the time, the marker of whether or not a small business will actually move into a commercial kitchen or not,
They're very expensive.
as they're so expensive? So, okay.
Yeah, most of these businesses have focused menus. They're able to kind of navigate around hood requirements to some degree,
Okay.
and try to limit their kind of exposure on the build-out cost, which we are providing help with as part of the project.
Sure.
But
Sure. Because we're redeveloping in a neighborhood that has a long historical context of multicultural businesses operating there, don't know if you can share, but are we looking at any businesses that are currently existing in the neighborhood that are looking to relocate to your property?
most of the businesses kind of share space elsewhere in town already.
Okay.
They've just kind of found what they can find.
Sure.
I don't know that any of them are currently sharing space
Okay.
in the immediate vicinity, but and several of them come from across town, but all of them do business in the area. So
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ben. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I have one last comment. You know, as these projects come about in this area that's had so much development, the fact that this is mixed use and allows walkability is really exciting sort of infusion into a neighborhood, and it'll be exciting to see it come about. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this agenda item? Those would be agenda items 7C, 7D, and 7E. Adam, welcome.
Hello. Good evening, councilors. I'm Adam Hintz, 1919 Prospect Street, testifying on my own behalf in support of the Net Zero redevelopment agreement. I would like to thank Ben for going the extra mile to build right and wisely. There is much that needs to be done to ensure the city will reach its goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050. Besides protecting the biological diversity of Lancaster County, which is a pet project of mine, these emission goals is of supreme importance for the health, well-being, and livability of our home for all life, living now and the generations to come. More and more, our neighbors are understanding the need to change the way we do business. We are looking to decision makers and other community members to make the right decisions to build a more resilient Lincoln. I know that, you know, we spoke of community support. I don't think it's kind of an underestimation how excited I think a lot of people in the community are for this project. It's just another step towards a climate smart, resilient future for Lincoln, and promoting these types of redevelopments and these types of initiatives are definitely something that needs to be a gravity for our city. And the community is here to back up anybody that is interested in doing right for our future generations.
Beautiful. Thank you, Adam. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on agenda items 7C, 7D, and 7E? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and move on to 7I and 7J.
I'll call items 7I and 7J together. Approving the real estate purchase agreement between the City of Lincoln and REV Development for the sale of the city-owned property generally located at 10050 O Street. And item 7J is approving the amendment to the purchase agreement between the City of Lincoln and the County of Lancaster, Nebraska to extend the closing date for the property generally located at 10050 O Street.
Welcome, Mr. C, not interim director.
That might have been the last time I was here. Tim C., Assistant City Attorney, 555 South 10th Street. I'm going to take these two in a little bit of reverse order because I think it tells the story a little bit more easily. But so 7J is a purchase agreement between the city and the county for 1005 O Street. Currently, the building is held 50-50 by the two entities. The two entities have been under agreement with each other for quite some time, trying to get this property sold. In the course of going through this process, the one purchase agreement between the city and county actually expired, and so we are just renewing that with 7J and setting a closing date on that to occur no later than March 31st of 2024. So that's J. 7I is the actual purchase agreement with the ultimate buyer of the property. Again, we're talking about 1005 O Street, the former location for Aging Partners, downtown senior center. And so the purchase agreement is one in which the city will ultimately sell the entire interest in the property over to the private entity. Purchase price, as you probably read, is $800,000. Closing is anticipated to occur by March 15th of 2024. Just a little bit about the process that was gone through here. This property was originally declared surplus in July of 2022. It was placed on the market at that time. We received one offer last summer. While that offer was being considered, a second offer came in. In order to be fair to both entities, we gave both of them the opportunity to provide sort of a final and best offer. Based on those offers, the one in front of you was selected, and we've created this purchase agreement and are asking for your approval of it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. C? Any questions at all? Okay, see none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to testify on items 7I or 7J? Anyone else here for items 7I or 7J? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please move us on.
That concludes section 7 of the agenda. We shall move to section 8, ordinances, third reading and related resolutions. Items 8A through 8D were moved to our pending list. I'll go on to read items 8E, amending Lincoln Municipal Code Section 4.24.090, budget expenditures for the purpose of moving LES to a project-based capital budget authorization rather than an annual authorization, introduced by Carlson.
Is there a second?
So moved, excuse me.
Second.
Oh,
I was gonna hit you in the back, you know.
It happens to the best of us.
Oh,
Okay, so I do have
Yep.
a motion by Carlson.
Second.
A second by Weber. Discussion on this issue? Okay, seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 8F is annexation 23010, application of HH Development, Inc. to annex 11.35 acres on property generally located at North 51st Street and Alville Road, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Washington, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 8G is change of zone 23070, application of HH Development, Inc. to change the zoning designation from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District on property generally located at North 51st Street and Alville Road, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Weber, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Schob?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Yes.
Washington? Duden?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 8H is annexation 23012, application of Staroska Lewis LLC to annex 7.02 acres generally located at Northwest 18th Street and Beartooth Drive, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Weber, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Washington?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 8I is change of zone 23071, application of Staroska Lewis LLC to change the zoning designation from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District on property generally located at Northwest 18th Street and Beartooth Drive, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Weber, discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Washington?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 8J is change of zone 23072, application of NeighborWorks Lincoln to change the zoning designation from O2 Suburban Office District to R2 Residential District on property generally located at 102 and 110 South 38th Street, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Weber. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 8K is change of zone 23074, application of MBG Property LLC to change the zoning designation from R4 Residential District to B3 Commercial District on property legally generally located at 880 North 27th Street, introduced by Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Washington. Discussion?
I just want to wish this business the very best of luck. It's a small business who needed more space and moved into a new building, so I'm glad we could get it, if we move forward. I hope we can do that and give them an opportunity to grow their business and be even more successful.
Anyone else? Please call the roll.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. That concludes Section 8 of our agenda. Section 9 is resolutions. First readings are items 9A through 9E. Section 10 of our agenda is ordinances first reading and related resolutions are items 10A through 10D. Section 11 of our agenda is our pending list, item 11A.
Very good. We have come to public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda nor planned for a future agenda may do so at this time. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak regardless of the number of topics. As was mentioned by our city clerk earlier this evening, we do have a timekeeping system here that will, we have the 2 monitors here by the podiums. Green indication means that you're in the first 4 minutes of your discussion, of your comments. When you get into the 4th minute, it'll change to yellow to give you a 1-minute warning. And then at your 5-minute time mark, it will turn red. So if there's anyone here who would like to speak during public comment, please come forward. And we do have 2 open podiums down here, so if we have multiple people who would like to speak, please feel free. We'll take this gentleman here at this podium, and if we have another testifier who would like to come forward, please go ahead and come forward, and we'll take you at this podium here. Sir, welcome.
Hi, I'm Harry Rohadi. I live at 5429 Cleveland Avenue. I've had a business downtown Lincoln at 11th End, the Beacon Lounge, for over 25 years. The city bus I was told on Tuesday, I was not notified of any letters to neither of my buildings that there was going to be a possible bus moving down the street. Meaning they're going to move the location from over on 11th and N Street down to L on 11th Street, which is directly north of where it is currently. I was told at the meeting that they did have for the transportation I had sat in, that they were doing that because of the building being built was putting the 2,000 riders in danger. But I guess they weren't in danger when they demoed the building, and since I've been in construction business, that's the most dangerous time of building, not when you're reassembling a building. So basically, the excuse was that that was the reason to move it down. They are trying to get a permanent location, I understand. But the thing is, by pushing it down the street and offering nothing but seating, flat seating for people that are traveling on the bus currently, and offering the Satel building, which I'm sure nobody's possibly all, except for Tom over here, understood. But they're moving to the Satel building, which has been vacant for many years. It only has an awning. There's nothing in it. They called it a shell. And you want people to stand underneath that little awning to wait for your bus. When you currently already have domes. You have the facility where it's at now. They need to get a better location. They need to prepare better. Right now, they're just pushing something down the street. That's literally all it is. It's a push down the street. We don't have enough parking the way it is downtown now with all the new apartments. Latitude came in. I'm sure everybody's been young in their life. When you're young and going to college, you walk more on campus into your car. So they're not going to pay for any parking garages or parking in those buildings, and they don't. They're out on the streets. Now they're talking about moving the bus down, taking more stalls away, and push more people down the street. That's not going to help anything for us. There's no help. We need a better solution. The solution is what they're trying to propose currently is just a push. And that's not what we need. We need to get it better. We need a better transit system. which they're working on. I agree. Great, get that transit system, but take the time to do it. Just don't push something that seems to be a problem to another problem. That's not helping anybody, and it's going to hurt our businesses. And in the 25 years, I have had a lot of people come from the bus station that are cold, wet, hot, just for air conditioning or heat, to sit down because they have to wait, an hour or something, and they didn't want to wait down there. They don't want to wait in the weather. You're going to put them in more weather now by moving it down. So I'm here today just to inform people that weren't or haven't heard about the movement of the possible bus, that it's coming, and there's a lot of people opposing it, and we want to get it heard. So I came tonight just to do that. I appreciate all your time. Thank you very much, and thank you, Don, for coming to the other meeting, because he did come in. So thank you very much. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions? Okay, seeing
Thank
none.
you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much. We appreciate it. Hello, Serena, welcome.
Hello, my name is Serena Freed. I run the Hot Mess located at 408 South 11th Street. I too am here to talk about the 11th Street bus terminal. And part of it, I wanted to, it's nice to have you all in the same room, so we're going to take the opportunity. One, thank you all for the email responses. I know several people who have reached out have been really appreciative to hear back from you all. Also, thank you, Councilman Duden, for showing up to the meeting with the StarTran Advisory Board last week. We all appreciate that very much. So a couple things. One, I think I'd like to talk about the community engagement that was done on behalf of LTU. So Director Liz Elliott stopped into the bar about exactly 6 days before the public hearing and vote with the StarTran Advisory Board, which is not exactly how we generally have seen community engagement work in the past. A couple of things. Also, the StarTran Advisory Board wasn't able to we weren't able to ask any questions of them, so a lot of questions still remain unanswered because it was just an opportunity for people to be able to express their public comment when we were at the meeting. And two, I think it is a big decision for the StarTran Advisory Board, one of which is actually requires, I think, many more departments in the city and also elected officials that have kind of created this position by prioritizing development like the Golds Project. Some of you were on the council when when the project was originally proposed, and also talking about how that project has changed is, I think, something we should talk about, and the scope of it and also the time frame. So I think I want to be able to acknowledge that, and also 11th Street from just south of K to South Street is going to be closed intermittently beginning this spring for the next 18 months while the LTU does street improvements, which is fantastic, but also should be brought into conversation if we're talking about moving a major, the bus transfer hub a couple blocks down. Also, and like thinking of 11th Street as a neighborhood, as not just the businesses that are impacted, but also the people and residents and StarTran users too. So I think for me, it really appeared like it was very much an afterthought, not only for the StarTran patrons, but also for folks that live and work in the neighborhood. And I want us to be able to really be proud of what we offer when it comes to public transit. I want us to be able to expand those services. I want us to be able to provide comfortable environments for people to wait, people like opportunities for people to go to the bathroom when they need to go. And just because we have allowed for it to be in a dangerous construction zone when there were cranes, fortunately that part of the project is complete. The focus is going to be on the buildings that currently stand. The rest of the development will come, I think, much later, but again, we don't exactly know what that time frame is, so that would be nice to maybe have an idea. And two, I think we really just don't want to see another Lincoln Bold, right? Like, we have these great ideas, plans change, things happen, but also we should have a plan. And it very much seems like what is presented in front of us isn't exactly a well-thought, comprehensive plan, even if it is an interim of the bus terminal being moved for, let's say it is only 2.5 to 3 years. I think that there's a lot of other opportunities and options that we should be pursuing, especially when the O Street corridor is having its own development project. 11th Street eventually will have the 11th Street Greenway project, which none of us really know what that means either. So it would be nice to begin to kind of have more broader conversations, I think, with folks to be able to, one, like actually map out and see, like, what do we want as a community? What do we need as a community? How do we prioritize and continue to uplift the small local businesses that really make Lincoln what it is, right? And then I think another thing is if you look at a lot of the outreach and really art-based projects that had come out of the South of Downtown CDO over the last several years, I think that they are going to help coordinate a public meeting to talk about the bus transfer station here in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be hosted at the F Street Rec Center. Date is still, I think, being decided, so hopefully some of you will be able to join us. I'm sorry.
5-minute mark, if you could just wrap it
Yep,
up in the
great.
next
And then
10 seconds.
Perfect. And then one other thing, I think it's an opportunity for us to be able to partner with local artists, Lincoln Art Council, to be able to create a really beautiful bus environment, whether that's on 11th Street, wherever it moves. It should be much more. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming down. We appreciate it. Council, do we have any questions? Councilman?
I just have a couple of questions if you're willing. With the meeting at F Street Rec Center, is LTU, have they committed to being at that community meeting?
I don't believe so. Not that I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I think it was most of the people who live in the neighborhood had not been contacted, along with just the businesses. And so the Neighborhood Association and the South of Downtown CDO was going to do some outreach to get people to be able to make the meeting.
Cool. If you could just like text me or give me a call.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll send out the information. I think just dates were a little up in the air still.
And would you be willing to talk a little bit about the concerns that you have about how it would impact your business, like tangibly, like what does that mean, right?
Yeah. So one of the biggest thing is, so it's the proposal is multiple bus stops on 11th, just north of L, and then some bus stops south of L, and then there's 2 bus stops on L Street. L Street is extremely busy. It is a very dangerous intersection. Like they're close near accidents routinely. People get back because it runs right into Rosa Parksway, and so often the intersection is actually blocked by just sitting vehicles waiting to try to merge into Rosa Parks. And so I think there's like legitimate safety concerns with that. 2, Satel's being just a shell of a building that has not been inhabited for a very long time, and also it just is not very welcoming. Also, I think has legitimate safety concerns for riders of the bus, and also people in the neighborhood of it just being not accessible, and concern about people having to cross streets is concerning. A lot of folks are really upset about the parking. That can be talked about too. But honestly, I think access to bathrooms, and also when it's extremely cold and extremely hot, people need places to go. And it is a lot to be asked of someone like me and the folks that work for me to be able to navigate all of those interactions. And we're not resourced to be able to do those things.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? I do have a quick question. I apologize. I wasn't able to ask the former, the owner of the Beacon Lounge, the gentleman that came up earlier. I apologize. But you had mentioned parking, and you had mentioned Lincoln Bold specifically as well. How many employees do you have there at the Hot Mess?
3, and then myself.
Okay. And then can you describe the parking situation that you have for you and your employees?
Well, I ride my bicycle, so I don't really generally park. Also, the bike lane is concerned. This proposal has not been considered at all. But some of my patrons, so a couple of them walk and ride their bikes, and there's one somebody that works for us that does routinely drive.
Okay.
We just on-street parking, or they use the parking garage.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. I think that's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Roy, welcome. If there's anyone else who would like to testify, we have an open microphone here if we want to get the next person in line. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. Roy Helm. I identify with the pronouns of he and him. I live at 2750 South 13th Street, which is on Otoe, Missouri land. I haven't been here for a while, so there's some new faces, and welcome to the council, and I do appreciate all the work that all of you do. I know that this isn't probably a subject everybody's heard a lot of or is already tired of, but it's potholes. And, you know, the weather conditions have lended themselves to that being a real concern. I am happy to report that I did call LTU this afternoon to report too, and got very good response. And you know, I don't know how long it's going to take for the city crews to get there, but you know, in thinking about how they develop and where they're prevalent, you know, I wondered what the possibility of the city putting together a public service announcement to advise the public on how best to report these situations, because they are a potential risk. They are a hazard. They can lead to accidents, and you know, they seem to be mostly on the shoulder by the curb, which is also where most of the bike lanes are. So it's you know, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I know this is just, you know, the season has just started, but it is something to think about, and I think the city could be a little proactive in just letting the population know what they need to do and what to watch out for. Other than that, I don't really have much. I'm just glad that you know, we're seeing warmer weather and the days are getting longer. So we'll see what the rodent prognosticator has to say later this week. So thank you very much, and again, I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you, Roy. I appreciate you coming down. Yes, Councilman, please.
Yeah. In regards to your question about pothole, actually the city of Lincoln does have a spot. LTU has a spot on their website, and you can click on report a pothole and forward your request that way. So so just go to the city's website, type in pothole patching, and you can report it that way. So
yeah, thank you. And well, there's also an app. Yeah. But I'm trying to find for myself a way to be able to remember and report using hands-free technology with my phone, because I mean, it's
the more you report, the better you're going to get at it.
Right. Well, yeah. But it's just having a quick process, because you might forget, and it's not. I mean, when we report these things, it's not just about ourselves. It's about you know, our fellow community members and people, other drivers.
They're going to be popping up all over the place now.
Yes, they will. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Appreciate it. If we have another individual who would like to come on down and testify, we have an open microphone. Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. It's nice to be here again. Once again, my name is David Merritt. I live at 2315 D Street, apartment number 4. And I'm just once again to respectfully come down and just discuss again the horrible conditions that the Palestinians are living under, and or not living under. It's probably the worst thing I've ever experienced secondhand. We remember we watched shorts of the young children that had been brutally maimed in bombings, and you know, you got to watch me cry, and that's appropriate. And I'm just here to urge you guys as the body that legislates and that enacts change to help me and others that are into international justice, call for an immediate ceasefire in Palestine and in the Gaza Strip, because 30,000, even 10 people is more than enough to die in vain and in terrible conditions of war. So, as a peaceful human, I petition for peace, which can only begin, once again, I reiterate, with an immediate ceasefire in Palestine and in the Gaza Strip. So, thank you guys very, very much. It's nice to see you again. I hope I don't have to keep coming down here. But I respectfully petition you to, verbally petition you to help me, help others enact change. And like I say, I really appreciate it. It's unfortunate that I mean, I talk a lot, but I don't know what else to say except that the sorrow, the incredible sorrow that I feel, and, you know, I have to admit, I feel ashamed of the way that America has come to be and the histories that surround that. And then when unfortunately, when, you know, in modern times and like the legislation of the evils of money get involved, then I think really evil. I mean, and I, you know, I'm more of a guy that thinks of things as, you know, more of a gray area, but I think that the manipulation of power and money, you know, corrupts absolutely, and that's something that should also be addressed by all of us, by Americans. So I hold us accountable. I hold us accountable with much respect and care to you all, and with no malice, just sorrow and pensive, just overwhelming sorrow. I don't know how else to say it. I'm heartbroken every day. I'm heartbroken every single day. And it's not about breaking my heart. My heart can break and break and break, but I'm talking about people's lives are on the line. Aid needs to be immediately administered in Gaza, and the only way that can happen is through an immediate call for an immediate ceasefire. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's really all I have. Thank you all. Appreciate you listening to me week after week, and I hope I don't have to come down. So much love to you all. Much love to you all.
Thank you, David. We
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it. And you're not alone in your heartbreak.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Anastasia Fenner. I live on 2315 D Street. I am also here to urge you all to call for an immediate ceasefire. It's been over 100 days and over 30,000 people dead. We don't really even know how many people have died because there are still so many people stuck under the rubble. I'm frankly quite disappointed that members of my own community, which is you who sit here before me, have seen the dead children, have seen the carnage, have cried, and have still not said anything about it. Unless your social media posts are somewhere where I can't see them, I guess I don't understand how you could be silent when you're mothers, when you are people who have interacted with children at schools. It's frustrating. There are over 500,000 people still in northern Gaza who are currently starving to death. There are people thousands of miles away who are dead because of the weapons that are manufactured here in Lincoln. Just because we are not currently experiencing like the bombings, that does not mean that we are not involved. Just because we cannot see it in front of us right here, right now, does not mean that it is not happening. None of our tax dollars should be going towards killing people. This is some of the worst crimes against humanity, like some of the highest loss of life in the shortest span of time that we have seen in modern history. And we Lincolnites have a direct impact in that. Like, we have blood on our hands. Our tax dollars, like how much money does Lincoln spend in federal tax dollars? What, like over $4 million? So we're paying millions of dollars to go kill people that we don't know to justify this outrageous murder. There were 36 hospitals in Gaza. They are all gone. What do you say to a mother who is mixing her infant's formula with seawater? What do you say to her? Well, wait. Oh, Hamas is good. Hamas is not the state. Why are we involved in the slaughter of over 30,000 people? How have you been able to see these children who look like children here in Lincoln and still not call for a ceasefire? How can it not be that simple? We are supplying the weapons that are killing people. We can make a decision to stop the killing. It is our responsibility. We are on stolen land, much like the land that is being stolen in Palestine, and we are seeing the active murder of people to get that land. We are participating in that. So if you do care, then call for an actual end to the violence. Actually see the history that is going on, learn about the Nakba. There have been plenty of people here and online and in a variety of protests that I know that you are aware that happen in your own city where we have been giving you this information. It has been over 100 days. Why is Lincoln silent? Is it because we're making money off of the slaughter of people? Is that something that we think is acceptable? Seeing people pulled from the rubble looking like skeletons because they were trapped there for 6 days. Mothers having C-sections without anesthesia, children like having their limbs removed without anesthesia. I don't know what else could convince you to stand up in just a small way. Do you not have a duty to the people that put you where you are right now, to the citizenry that elected you? Because we are frankly traumatized. We cannot go on social media without seeing the carnage that our community has brought to the world. It is more than heartbreaking. It is disgusting. And we should also stand with with South Africa, who did bring Israel to the ICJ for genocide.
Thank you. Sir, welcome. If there's anyone else who would like to testify, please come on down forward and get ready here at the other podium. Sir, please, the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Kayshawn Langelo, 323 North 44th Street. I've been here before as well. And again, with the previous people who came up here, I'm here to implore upon y'all that we call for immediate ceasefire for Palestine, or for the what's happening over in Gaza. Honestly, I don't really know what to say to convince y'all as well. What the previous speakers have already been talking about is the carnage. Like I said, I could just go on Instagram following the people on the ground, and I could get the ground news, the ground truth of just what's going on. I think just a minute ago I was on Instagram and saw like a story about a 13-year-old boy who's now taking care of his 6 siblings because a bomb killed his mother, and he's been calling his father, and of course his father's not picking up because his father is probably dead too. And there's multiple stories like that. There's multiple pictures of children's limbs, being blown apart, all the carnage, all the blood, all the unnecessary death and destruction. This is clear-cut genocide. We don't have to be super intelligent to see this. You can just look at Instagram and see what they're doing. They destroyed all their infrastructure. They're starving them now. And for what? We have to, as a city, stand up against this, what's going on. This is wrong. I implore you to call for a ceasefire, and that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you for coming down. Hello, welcome.
Hello, I'm Morgan Badusek from 711 Folsom Lane. I'm also here to discuss the ongoing genocide in Gaza and Israel. And I was worried about our effects here in Lincoln. When we lit up the Capitol blue in support of Israel, we also invited in new waves of anti-Arab racism and Islamophobia into our communities. It's hurting our members. And it would be important for us, or for you as the city council, to, I think, propose a resolution condemning such actions in our communities. And I also was concerned about other resolutions that have been passing around the country that will limit our freedom of speech, our ability to protest. And I urge the city council to stand up for what's right and follow the lead of Iowa City, Oakland, and Seattle City Councils and call for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, welcome.
Can I begin?
Yes.
Okay. I live in Omaha, Nebraska, and I would like for our representatives and senators to call for an immediate ceasefire. Since October 7th, over 25,000 Palestinians have been murdered. Israel is committing genocide on a group of people that they have tormented and belittled, shutting off access to food and water, kidnapping women and children, and stealing their land. The Israeli occupation has lasted for 76 years. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the blood of innocent lives are on our hands. The bombs being used are American-made products. Israel has been funded by America, and there have even been local government officials that have been given money by Israel. I demand that you call for an immediate ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. For the record, could you also give your name and address, please?
My name is Gabriel Bennett. I live on 18914 Grover Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68130.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hello, welcome.
Hello, my name is Khadijah. I'm gonna omit my address for safety purposes.
Okay.
Okay, so George Floyd died on May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis, Minnesota due to cardiopulmonary arrest caused by neck compression by U.S. police. His death was determined to be a homicide. He was restrained face down on the ground with former police officer Derek Chauvin's knee pressed against his neck for over 9 minutes. Floyd repeatedly stated that he couldn't breathe and later lost consciousness at the scene and died. This is just one example of police brutality and systemic racism across the U.S. Do you guys want another example? Because I've got Eric Gardner, who died July 17, 2014 in New York City after being placed in a chokehold by an NYPD officer. Gardner repeatedly stated, "I can't breathe," and lost consciousness at the scene. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. And then we have Breonna Taylor, fatally shot in her own home by Louisville Metro Police. The officers executed a no-knock warrant and shot her multiple times in the vicinity of her home, what is supposed to be a safe place for her. These are just a few cases of methods of police brutality on American soil. These violent methods of restraint and murder are trained. While there aren't widely publicized cases of police brutality in Lincoln, we can acknowledge that incidents of police misconduct and excessive use of force has occurred within our city limit. So I'm just wondering, what is our city council members doing to keep Lincoln citizens safe and just keep citizens from the fear of being attacked by police officers here in Lincoln? And do you guys wonder where our officers are getting these methods and how do they use such similar tactics across different people? I've got some photos that show exactly what George Floyd had. So in this picture, we have Israeli Defense Forces putting their knee on a Palestinian man's neck. And then we see the same thing happening here, and here, and here. And this is a child, by the way, still a minor, under 18. So, according to Jewish Voices for Peace, since the early 2000s, thousands of U.S. police officers, sheriffs, border patrol agents, ICE officers, and FBI agents have trained with Israeli military and police forces. The ADL's National Counterterrorism Seminar brought U.S. law enforcement agents to visit checkpoints and military prisons and introduced them to Israeli officials at other sites of apartheid and racial profiling, such as the illegal settlement in Hebron. Now, I want you to ask yourself, why are police departments in America being trained through National Counterterrorism seminars and using its methods on American citizens? This is a counterterrorism seminar. The parallels between the tactics used by the IDF and the tactics used to cause the tragic death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Eric Gardner and other victims of police brutality reveal a systemic issue. In both cases, we witness the dehumanization of individuals based on racial or ethnic identity. Those 3 individuals, like many Black Americans, were subjected to unjust treatment solely because of the color of their skin. Similarly, Palestinians living under Israeli occupation face daily discrimination and violence, often targeted because of their ethnicity. The IDF tactics, including arbitrary arrests, excessive use of force, and the systemic suppression of dissent, mirror the injustices faced by marginalized communities worldwide, especially the U.S. A big way to show respect to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Eric Garner is to divest completely from Israel, help us make sure American police are not trained on methods using excessive force and racial profiling. Additionally, the U.S. sends $3.8 billion of our tax money to Israel every year to fund the Israeli military. General Dynamics, the weapons manufacturer on North 27th Street across from Walmart, has direct ties with Israel. Consul General Yenem Cohen met with Governor Ricketts on March of 2022. For example, an example we can look up to is the Iowa City Council on Tuesday, who answered community calls to pass a resolution urging a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. With the resolution's passage, Iowa City joins a growing number of democratic cities around the U.S. that have passed resolutions calling for a ceasefire. These cities include Detroit, Minneapolis, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Atlanta, Dearborn, and several others. As a Democratic majority city, Lincoln has the ability to stand hand in hand with the other cities that have passed resolutions calling for a ceasefire.
You've reached 5 minutes. If you could just finish up in the next 10 seconds or so.
So silence is complacency. Silence is an abuse of one's power. As city council members, you hold so much power, and I invite you to come to protests held in Lincoln, Nebraska, talk to our community members about your concerns on the destruction and mass killings of Gaza, boycott with us, help us pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire just like Iowa City, and show us that you stand with us and are listening to our pleas. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to testify during open microphone session? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move adjournment.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
We are adjourned.